She dropped the words as if they meant nothing. Our 20th anniversary can wait. I just want a night with my boss. Her tone was flat, without hesitation, without shame. I sat across the table, my knife resting against an untouched steak, and stayed silent. I studied her face, composed, rehearsed, almost bored. That was the moment something inside me stopped bleeding and hardened to stone. We'd been married 20 years. 2 decades of her laughter echoing through my kitchen, her perfume clinging to my shirts, her hand slipping easily into mine like it was meant to be there. We built our life brick by brick. I carried her through sickness, debt, miscarriages, and the grind of long days. She was my anchor in the storm, one I hadn't realized she was brewing. And for what? For her boss, a man swollen with money, arrogance, and the inability to respect boundaries. I should have exploded. I should have hurled the glass at the wall. But silence cuts deeper than rage. So I watched. I listened. I learned. The late-night meetings. The quick giggle when his name flashed on her phone. The sudden care in her clothes, her makeup, her scent. She thought she was clever. She thought she was untouchable. But I had already begun. I mirrored her silence. If she came home late, I nodded. If she said she was exhausted, I smiled. I didn't confront. I collected. Every careless word. Every hotel receipt tucked in her purse. Every text she failed to delete. While she played with fire, I gathered wood. Through an old friend in IT, I slipped into her work emails. Through a private investigator, I collected photographs, grainy but damning. Her climbing into his car, his hand pressed against the small of her back, their lips meeting in the shadows of a hotel lobby. Each piece of evidence clicking into place. But revenge isn't wild fury. It's precision. So I turned my attention to him, the CEO, a man obsessed with power, terrified of scandal, married, and tied to a board that treated morality like currency. One whiff of disgrace, and his empire would crumble. I knew exactly where to strike. Our 20th anniversary arrived. I booked a table at her favorite restaurant, the very spot where I proposed 20 years before. I wore the suit she once said made me look like her hero. She never showed. She was with him. I didn't call. I didn't text. I left the champagne unopened, the steak cooling on its plate, and went home. That night, while she laughed in another man's bed, I sent an email, not to her, not to him, but to the board of directors, to his wife, and to every senior executive linked to his name. The subject line was simple: your CEO and my wife. Inside, every photo, every timestamp, every detail arranged with care. At the bottom, one sentence: I thought you should know where your company's money is going. The fallout was immediate. By morning, she was summoned into his office. I lingered in the hallway, blending in with the crowd of employees. Through the heavy oak door, I heard his voice crack like a whip. What in God's name did you make your husband do? She stammered, denied, cried. But the evidence was a flood, and floods don't bargain. The board demanded his resignation. His wife filed for divorce. The press swarmed. His empire collapsed, and with it, so did she. When she finally came home, her face was pale, eyes swollen. She tried to speak, but words snagged in her throat. She reached for me, desperate. You destroyed him, she whispered. No, I said evenly. You destroyed yourself. I just held up the mirror. The divorce was swift, efficient, ruthless. Months earlier, I had already shifted every asset into my name. The house, the accounts, the future she imagined with him, all mine. She left with a suitcase and a silence heavier than any scream. People ask if I regret it. Regret? No. I regret 20 wasted years on a woman who couldn't recognize the worth of loyalty. I regret the nights I stayed up fixing her mistakes, convinced she'd do the same for me. But revenge? That I don't regret. Revenge was the moment I stopped being her fool and reclaimed myself. I stood in our kitchen after she left, the echo of her footsteps fading. For the first time in decades, the silence didn't strangle me. It freed me. I poured a drink and whispered the words she once tossed aside so carelessly. Our 20th anniversary can wait. Only this time I smiled because it wasn't waiting. It was over.